All right, we're late. It's of course Viva's fault.
Later. Oh, we're 2 minutes late.
2 minutes late.
Had to get my hair in order.
Okay, so we were just discussing, apparently there was an epic debate about religion. So let's start off a law thing about or debate about religion. What the hell were you doing, Rob?
Oh, it was crazy. So anyways, yesterday I caught the Twitter exchange between our two lovely gentlemen that are seated there and there. And then all of a sudden they jumped onto YouTube and they were both kind of speaking. And I think Viva jumped in and he said, you know what, just to clarify, everyone on Twitter, we are friends. We can go back and forth and have this debate. So some of you guys know that Joe Neerman was staying at my house while he was covering the Steve Bannon stuff. He was a visitor in my house. Joe Neerman is an Orthodox Jew. I'm a converted Catholic.
Converted to or away?
To him. He was giving his breakdown of the Bannon stuff, and then we started getting into this stuff. I mentioned that Nate and Viva had their little Twitter dialogue. And then we started just chatting about religion. And Joe's like, well, I was going to do Bannon tonight, but this discussion that we're having is so awesome. Like just varying viewpoints and discussing how the different religions kind of contemplate these things. That Joe's like, how about if I do Bannon for like 10 minutes on my channel and then we just continue this discussion live? So he did Bannon for like 20 minutes. And then he and I were up until like, I don't know, 2 o'clock in the morning. Just
oh my God.
Having a discussion. And what was great was it was remarkably engaging. The chat was fantastic. It was a civil discussion where two people have disagreements, but not even. They're just discussing how their respective views are.
Wow. Rob, you said you're a converted Christian. Is that like born again?
No, converted Catholic means that I converted to Catholicism as an adult.
Oh, okay.
Is there a circumcision that's required for that?
Wrong religion. He's on track.
No,
yes,
just an educational program.
Yeah, I only take off a few inches.
Oh man.
Alita, where are you? Alita, you're in America now, or are you back overseas?
I'm back in non-America again.
Not America.
Not America.
I mean, although some people would say that California is not America also.
Agree.
But, some would say. Yeah, no, I had a good month back home and it was nice for the most part. You know, planning a wedding is also very stressful. Especially when you get into like, if you're planning it like with one of your parents. I love my mom to death, but it's one of those things, right? Like it can get stressful. And then, you kind of know how to push each other's buttons and whatnot.
I would say anybody who has not planned a wedding would not know how stressful it is. There's literally nothing that some people can do right. If I say hands off, I'm doing nothing, then you're not doing anything. If you hands on do something, you're screwing everything up. It's like, you just have to take a deep breath and understand that everybody's stressed.
No. And it turned out wonderful. It was great. It was beautiful and was very happy. I mean, it was like really nothing major. Like there was no like big story of like everybody has like, some massive thing that goes terribly wrong on their wedding day. That didn't happen, like I know of this one married couple who like literally got like the whole wedding, like everybody celebrating got stranded for 3 days in the forest because of a hurricane. And like, so nothing crazy like that. It was great.
And no massive super spreader event and nobody came down with COVID. And
as far as I know, I mean, I got sick afterwards. It wasn't COVID. So just a normal cold, I guess, that lasted way longer than COVID did for me.
Amazing.
Personally.
Okay, so to go on to subject of the week, I guess we've got the world's shortest trial with Bannon. And that's what wrapped up, gone to the jury, or what's going on there?
Closing arguments this morning. I think they might have finished already. I've been following John Hoggy, who was on last night before Nate. Yeah, they spent more time arguing incidentals than they did presenting evidence, which is very interesting.
Okay. I don't know if everybody saw. I did put a link in the guest chat here if you guys want to check it out, from Colonel Kurtz. Big Marilyn Manson document dump. I mean, there were several statements released, everything else. You're still muted, Nate. And I barely had a chance to go through it at all. I didn't know if anybody wanted to talk about it here, depending on how time goes. But there's actually a statement from Brian Warner himself describing the relationship and making a full, utter denial of everything that's going on. And actually, I could bring this up if I can go find it.
This document.
Yeah, she shared. So Colonel Kurtz, she has a video talking about it, and she also shared the Google link to these particular documents. And I think this is actually all of the documents for his defamation case against Evan Rachel Wood and Ilma Gore. I haven't had a chance to actually look through the declarations yet, but my understanding is that they were attached to a motion requesting the ability to conduct discovery, because in California, when one of the parties has filed an anti-SLAPP motion, everything stops. No discovery can be conducted, nothing until that is resolved. And so my understanding is that they're requesting discovery, probably limited discovery for the purposes of the anti-SLAPP special motion to strike motions. But these declarations were attached to that motion is what I understand it to be. Her video on it was really good. I think it was very well done. She's got a lot of really, really great videos talking about this case. I've been going through this particular case way more slowly. Like I'm literally like still talking about the
It's so big
because I want to go
through it. It's just too big. There's too many people, too many moving parts. I mean, with Johnny Depp, it was pretty simple. You have her and him, and then everybody related to her and everybody related to him. With his,
and like with
it's
them,
just
there was a long winding timeline, but with Marilyn Manson, you have all of these different individuals that are involved in an alleged conspiracy, and then you have all of their claims that they've made, and then it's actually like I actually refer to this as a cluster of cases because there's several cases that have also been filed against him by some of the accusers. So I think Esme Bianco is one of them. Ashley Walters is another. There's one that was dismissed in the midst of the Johnny Depp trial as well. But it's very, very interesting to see some of these individuals actually coming forward with these declarations and saying Paula Weiss was one of them. She was apparently Ilma Gore. Well, one of the allegations in the complaint was that Ilma Gore said that the actress in the groupie video was a minor at the time that they had recorded it, and said that there was actual illicit activity involved. And then number two, that she had died. And so
who had died?
Paula Weiss, the actress.
Okay. Well, okay. She seems to be doing healthy right now. I mean,
she comes back and she's like, I'm not dead yet.
The stories of her death are greatly exaggerated.
Oh, yeah, apparently, yes. Jesus.
So she I believe this is who she was talking about was Paula Weiss. And so number two, she says that she was 22 years old at the time of the filming. I don't know if that's actually what she says in the declaration. I think it is. Oh yeah. She's talking about groupie. So anyway, but then she also says, which is entirely like you can show the dates, right? Like she can show like what day she was born on and what days this was filmed.
Let's talk about this here, because you're going to keep hearing this going back and forth. This dude has a long history of being a predator towards men and women, regardless of there is a history, but here's the problem. We're having trouble determining the veracity of the accusations. So if I come up with an accusation and I make something up, right? And then I go recruit a few other people and they all repeat the same accusation. And then let's say we all do it on the same day, especially like, February 1st, 2020. I don't know. And then maybe we share a lawyer and then maybe we write a statement together. Well, it's going to look really bad because I'm talking about Rob. And, Rob, he's a problem child. And I found all these other people who are repeating the same thing. And we have this long history now of Rob and his lumber causing problems. So it's really difficult because now Rob doesn't even know which way to go because he's had this shotgun accusation coming at him. And he's saying, wait, what? What the hell's going on? And that's the problem. This is kind of a blitz attack. And we're just trying to sort out because it's Marilyn Manson. Let's acknowledge it. He dresses and looks creepy. Everybody knows that. It's his act.
What stage of the proceedings are we at now? Like,
so early. Literally, it's been a well, it depends on which case you're talking about. If we're talking about his case against Evan Rachel Wood and Ilma Gore, a complaint has been filed and 2 special motions to strike have been filed, 1 by each defendant. That's all that's happened in this case. It was just filed in March, so it's very early days for that one. For the ones that were filed against him, there's one that is supposed to go to trial, I think this next March, and then sometime after that, I think so. Yeah, Esme Bianco is the first one that's supposed to go to trial, or maybe it's earlier than March. I think maybe not, but I do agree. Like, one of the things that I find very fascinating about his case is that he does have obviously this very divisive stage persona, and he wears the makeup everywhere he goes when he's out in public, just as himself, not just on stage, right? So there's sort of this like blurring of the lines between who is Brian Warner and who is Marilyn Manson. So, and that is something that I think maybe for his art and for his career, that's been very profitable, very good for him. And I don't know, not just profitable, because he's not just like some kooky capitalist, right? Like, he's got a lot of like artistic messaging in so many of the things that he does, if not everything. But for him legally, though, that can obviously present some issues, because then these accusations can come forward. A lot of people are going to be a lot more likely to think, well, this is Marilyn Manson. He's a creepy guy, that he's had, all kinds of weird encounters with women and groupies and blah 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 blah. So it's like you've got all of those that are just like right off the cuff that people can respond with. So it's very interesting sort of case for
his
me
own videos
to be getting into.
His own videos. It'd be like me writing something about Wes Craven and saying he's a creep, and he dresses up with things on his, even though he doesn't. It's like, look at his work, look at his art. Oh my God, he's obviously a violent person.
I was just looking it up. Like, I'll admit, I thought Robert Blake was guilty from the beginning, just because of his screen persona.
Oh, well, hold on now, Robert Blake. Come on. Here's my alibi. I couldn't have killed her because I was going to fetch my gun.
Most people don't even know that. When I heard the story, I'm like, I saw that guy in The Lost Highway. He's crazy. You can act crazy, but you can also be a psychopath to play a psychopath. Best
alibi yet, though.
I left my gun at the restaurant.
And then somebody shot my wife.
Was he found not guilty too, right? Was he acquitted? Yeah.
Yes. The only one, there was a whole series of acquittals, and then finally Spectre, I think, is the one who got the LA prosecution or DA's office successful again. But they were terrified. That's part of the reason the Elliott Smith case is kind of being ignored, because Gil Garcetti, father of a mayor in LA, was ducking out of cases left and right because of OJ on. They just were having a really, really bad track record. I think that's part of the reason that Robert Wagner, he's never come up on trial, or anybody associated with Natalie Wood. And there's a ton of questions. William Shatner, there are some questions there. I don't think anything's going to happen with it, but yeah, lots of fun.
Yeah, I'm not following the Marilyn Manson one. I'm sort of more interested in the Elon Musk versus Twitter. Who's Nate, Rob? You guys covering that one?
Who's doing that one?
Hogue.
I know the Hogue's
I
covering.
think Rich. That's Hogue's.
That's like
Hogue's alley. Yeah.
That's like right in the middle of the strike zone for Rick Hogue.
Yeah, if he's going to knock that out of the park, because that is his bread and butter. Like, and he's covered it for a while.
No, I literally DM'd him when I saw that the trial was getting sped up to 60 days from now. I was like, okay, if there's any chance that this is getting live streamed, I'm getting requests from people to cover this trial, but I will 100% be like the goose to your Maverick on that one, because I know that this is all you. So it's only fair to return the favor, and also like this is just your
so
wheelhouse.
You'll be his goose. You're gonna die for Hogue?
Sure. He was goose for me last time.
Okay.
or maybe I'll update the metaphor and say that it's the rooster to his Maverick.
Bucky to America.
Bucky to Captain America. That works too.
So she's gonna go insane, and never mind.
Is the Musk
lose my arm.
Are they expecting to live stream the Musk trial? I mean, it's a state claim, not a federal claim, so possibility, but not by default live broadcast.
I don't know.
The hearing had a call-in, but they didn't allow any rebroadcasting. So that's the thing that makes me think that maybe, because it seems that they are allowing some amount of at least ears into there, but I mean no rebroadcasting. So
do you think this trial is going to stop it? I mean, I worry about it. We just covered, and I know Rob covered recently, the Lindbergh trial. And I did not realize that the Lindbergh case was the first time they allowed cameras in the courtroom, and it was the last time they allowed cameras in the courtroom because it was such a complete nightmare. I personally want them in the courtroom, but then I think there's a lot of people fighting it because they're like, oh, it becomes this big spectacle, and you LawTubers are just collecting nothing but money.
And that's
grifters.
That's a massive misconception that I've been trying to kind of handle. I talked about it when I was talking about the Scopes Monkey trial this week. Is that people think that this is new? This phenomenon of people watching or wanting to publicize trials is new. No, this has gone back to the very beginning of time when we ever had trials. Ever. This was always a public spectacle. People have a very keen interest in watching justice being meted out, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen. People are going to find a way to publicize it. The question is, are you going to get what arose with the Lindbergh case, which is, or the Scopes case, which is periodicals and media publishing based on secondhand information. So you get these massive headlines that are woefully inaccurate. Or are you going to shine some daylight into the courthouse and allow people to report it and expand that free discussion of ideas?
Yeah. And going back to the Depp trial, I mean, that was the biggest benefit to the fact that there were cameras in the courtroom there was the fact that people could see for themselves. I mean, I know it's preaching to the choir, right? Because everybody here that watches these kind of live streams, that participates in these kind of live streams, understands that, right? Like we've all seen for ourselves, like what transformation people go through when they watch the trial themselves. That is a very heated trial that the media's kind of covering, but doing their own version of coverage. And then they see the difference and they're like, what the heck is going on? And then you have people like Kat Tenbarge that go and are trying to like stir the pot after the fact to try to turn these people that are on Johnny Depp's side after having watched the whole trial into like crazy conspiracy theorists.
It's
why they won't quit. I mean, I'm still blown away. I'm like, okay, that's yesterday's news. And I'm like, I guess nobody got the memo because Eve Barlow, and now she's at war with Evan Rachel Wood, which is hilarious. They're eating their own.
Wait, Eric, I'll tell you this. What? If you hear a buzzing in the background, someone's drilling. But they accuse the lawyers covering the trial of grifting when they're the ones still trying to stir up conflict over this trial that's 2 months old because they've got nothing else to move on to. It's pure confession through projection. They are the grifters in that they are actually stirring up conflict for their own financial gain, as opposed to the lawyers just covering conflict and financially gaining from it. There's nothing wrong with making money for hard work and insight.
You mean like newspaper reporters that write articles and get a paycheck?
No.
It's only for them.
They live on air and sunshine. Everyone knows that.
Oh, especially Taylor Lorenz. She's living on some kind of hot air, but I don't know.
By the way, do you know what I just realized? I was waiting for Rakeda to join because I was looking at the thumbnail, and now I realize it's not Rakeda in the thumbnail. That was Rob in the thumbnail. God, you're doppelgangers.
This is gonna follow Rob for the rest of his life.
I'm the more sober, less profane version of the two of us.
But who was it? Kat Tenbarge who said the conspiracy theorist Depp fans.
QAnon.
Tenbarge.
We're QAnon.
QAnon. It's psychotic. It's psychotic and delusional.
Yes.
It's only going to get worse because I don't know if you guys caught on Rick's channel this week. He was talking about a lot of you guys covered the bot Sentinel, and how bot Sentinel is. They previewed that their next adventure is going to be
Manson,
studying those who have violated policies on YouTube and people who make money via YouTube. And I'm pretty sure that some of us are going to be.
Well, there's that Reddit article. Have you seen it? I mean, I think we're all on that Reddit hit piece, which is nothing more than directions on here is where you go, or please report these people. That's literally the Reddit piece. And everybody saw their monetization getting a little wonky and videos were getting squirrely, but I don't feel like sharing and put out headlight, or a lot of light on it. There's not a lot of people on that Reddit, but I'm like, these are the stands. And by the way, the way it's written, I'm pretty sure it's Eve Barlow who wrote it. And the reason why I think that is because the person accused Ian Runkle of being a notorious liberal.
Oh,
now the only reason that somebody would call somebody a liberal coming from that side or that plank would be if they were, say, English, because in England, liberal is to the right versus here in the States. Everybody knows in the States, a liberal is closer to a progressive, that the term flipped in FDR's time. So that made me think, oh, I bet you have somebody who maybe is from Scotland, like Eve Barlow, who perhaps was accusing Ian Runkle of being a liberal, which is quite hilarious to anybody who's actually reading it here. And then, by the way, Nate.
It's the confirmed liars of MSM lying yet again about the people who are actually confirmed, accurate, truthful commentators. Eric, I said, pull up a link I sent you in the private chat, if you can.
Yeah, sure.
In Canada, they're doing the same thing. Quebec has a website dedicated to conspiracy theorists. I didn't make it onto that one. Maxime
I was going to say.
I didn't make it onto that one.
Are you disappointed?
Well,
getting a content warning to me is a badge of honor.
Well,
on one of my channels.
It is until the government only does it so the government can create government excuses to censor people. Ezra Levant is on it. Maxime Bernier is on it. But the one I sent you, check this. This is a study.
Oh, the auto. I remember you
from
sharing
the
this
Fraser
before.
Institute, which I thought once upon a time was a reputable institution. How Google autocomplete algorithm about conspiracy theorists mislead the public. And then just scroll down to the annex or the annex 1.
Oh, yeah.
The list of the people that are confirmed by the Fraser Institute, conspiracy theorists. Just go all the way down there.
No, so I'm sorry.
There,
Get to it.
There it is. No, forward down. They don't.
You're there. You're there with Alex and
Viva Frei.
Jeez. Oh my God, the list has grown.
There you go, Viva Frei. YouTube.
Well, yeah, he's
Canadian
the worst
influencer on the far right and COVID conspiracy proponent.
Do we still call you a Canadian?
Yeah, I got my citizenship. I'm only on a visa.
But you're a Canadian Floridian.
I am Canadian.
It's called a snowbird. It's called a snowbird.
No, the snowbirds are on vacation permits, so they can only spend 6 months less a day in the States.
Okay.
So, but that it's.
So, what would your Florida man article be? Florida man turned Canadian. Have you ever done that? Like type in Google Florida man and your birthday and just look at.
Oh no. God, no!
I didn't even know that's a thing.
You guys haven't done this experiment.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Yeah.
What is it, Rob?
Google Florida man and throw in your birthday, and there is an article. There will be an article that comes up that's like Florida man wrestles alligator, drowns, or something crazy.
Jesus, Florida man, May 23rd. A Florida man was arrested after telling a playground full of kids where babies come from. I actually remember that story. Oh man, I remember that story. The individual looks like you might have other.
Well, you know what? I might as well have it here since we all share space on this lovely hit piece.
The incel hate group of YouTubers that spawned anti-herd content. Oh my God. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So here. Now, this is where it gets fun. Incel. Now, everybody, what is the definition of incel?
Involuntary celibate.
All right. So this is where it gets really fun. Everybody on here is an incel, except so many are married, and then they have children. So, David, congratulations being an involuntary.
I'm on there.
Oh, yes, you are. I'm last in line on what's my category?
This is sexist. Why did they leave the women off of this?
No, don't worry. Celebrity gossip. I'm a celebrity gossip channel. Did you know that?
For anyone who thinks I'm an incel, you could just ask my wife.
Don't worry. Alita, no.
Oh,
there you are. You're number 2.
Okay.
Under LawTubers. But this is my favorite. Look at Nate. Nate, you are a misogynist, incel, red pillar with alt-right themes throughout.
Oh my God.
How did Nate get the hardest hit on this?
Because he's quote black and off the reservation would be my theory, but
I collaborated with psychology in Seattle. Like that's a bad thing somehow. Just having a conversation with a psychologist, with a licensed psychologist, and then admits to misunderstanding the case. I didn't miss. Okay, there's one thing that I got wrong. And it was the UK case, because I said that she hadn't been cross-examined, because that was the understanding that I had, and that was wrong. That's one thing. And believe me, Depp fans will call you out on your mistakes.
This is
okay. And by the way, Nathalie, the lawyer chick, they changed this because originally they said not a lawyer.
This is idiotic.
Actually, she's gone from chick to chic.
This is idiotic. Canadian firearms lawyer, strong liberal bias. I mean, that is mutually incompatible in Canada.
That's what I was trying to say. It would have to be some moron from Scotland, let's say, who doesn't understand the political leanings. Saying a strong liberal bias would make him sound like it. This is completely contradictory.
It would make him anti-firearm, pro-restriction, but can you go up? I mean, it's one thing that this appears on Reddit. How many upvote thingies or
it's not a lot. But what I'm trying to say is, this is important to know, because this is a laundry list. And look, here's what they're doing. They're saying, this is how you report it. That's the whole point of this. Is little call to arms. This one here, 173 upvotes, not a lot. Only 8.8 thousand members.
That's the thing. It depends on the size of the community. So 173, that might have been number one on the page for a few hours.
187 comments. No, I mean, look, I don't care about size. I care about motivation and activation. There could be only 10 people and they keep hammering everybody, and they can be problematic. Mm-hmm. So this one, I figure you guys all knew this. I mean, it's rare that we can all exist in the same room here and be on the same hit piece too. I think this is almost like a list of please follow all these channels. They're great channels.
And they got Hogue Law that says incel themes throughout.
What? Is it because he covers a lot of gaming stuff?
I don't know. Probably.
Law and Lumber, they have a title channel, anti-herd content.
My entire channel.
Oh my God.
Videos.
Oh man. What do they say about uncivil? Is uncivil on here?
Oh, they say uncivil things.
Right-wing bias, trans exclusionary, radicalized political views. Definitely not a feminist.
Hold on, LMAO. Get back there.
Oh my goodness.
So uncivil law.
Uncivil there. Right-wing bias, turf.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, Nate the lawyer is a misogynist incel red pillar.
He has the worst. Nate got the worst
on my list.
It is physically impossible to be an incel if you've got
kids. And a misogynist. Words mean nothing. It's
and alt-right.
Everything is stupid. Everything is stupid.
I'm all right. He's white supremacist stuff.
He's like the lefty lawyer to all of us, and he's alt-right, which is like, okay,
it's true. I'm the most liberal out of the whole bunch, and I'm the conservative alt-right guy. Oh my God.
Wow.
I agree with Water Jabbers. Can we take a second to acknowledge how scary an alt-right Nate would be?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
All right, here we go. Okay, somebody's correcting me here. And thank you very much. Great super chat. USA Republican equals conservative. Red USA Democrats is liberal. Blue UK Tory conservative. Blue UK Labor liberal. Red Australia liberal equals conservative. Let's see. Blue Australia Labor equals liberal. Red, hope this makes sense. We're not stupid, Eric, just different. Okay. I'm going to say, Trufflehound, I apologize to all of Scotland, save one person, who are very smart, because I think my moderators, there's a couple mods here who are Scots. This person will just say rhymes with Eve Barlow is a terrible representation of your entire country.
Oh, by the way, just an update on Bannon. So coming from John Hoggy, everyone should follow him. HAUGHEY, JF Hoggy 58. 11:37, jury adjourned for deliberation. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Now we wait, and a full roll of closing arguments. Yeah.
It's a paper case, though. I don't see unless the jury it's a paper case.
He'll be convicted by this evening, and then the only question is what happens after.
You got Joe in the chat chiming in.
Hello, Joe.
Oh, Joe.
Good morning,
Joe.
Joe. I hope I'm hurting just as much as you are this morning.
So someone said the TLDR. What was the essence of the discussion on religion, which is always what you want to discuss on the interwebs?
Yes, it always is peaceful and harmonious, and
like
Okay.
one of you was saying why Judaism is better than Christianity and why Christianity.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that. It was going back to kind of the origins of Jesus as the Messiah versus not the Messiah, what the Messiah means, the foundation of Christianity, and how Christianity and how the Jews broke off, and some went to Christian, some didn't. Explanations of faith, trying to explain the concept of the Trinity and how the Trinity exists. Temporal understandings of God and existing beyond any temporal understanding. We actually got really deep into philosophical discussion. It was really fun.
Easy to do with Joe.
Yeah.
well,
I
speaking
remember
of
my first
Joe,
collab
here's
with
a
him.
super chat.
Ah.
How much does Joe shed?
Joe has been, he was a wonderful house guest. He was very nice. He brought me a case of beer at the end of the trip, and it was great to have. I told a lot of people, like, look, I am honest when I say, if you guys are ever in town, stop by. I really do mean it. And I'm happy to host. Joe was great to have. It was great just having discussions. Actually, last night we were on the patio just talking, and he was like, you know what would be the best is if just all of us sat in a room, get all of us in one big room, and we're all sitting around a campfire or a table, and just someone throw a camera and just listen to the dialogue that we all have. Because you put us into a room, and we saw this at Alita's wedding, and the discussions they just go on forever.
Can I
And
point
it's
something
so
out
cool.
that does worry me a little? The guy, Law and Lumber, who just covered H.H. Holmes, who's notorious for having a little bit of a place where he trapped and killed multiple people, saying, "Come to my house.
Come to my
house. Yeah,
Yeah.
any of you can stay here."
Yeah, and
Does
people already
anybody else
know I
feel
have
frightened?
a shop with saws in the basement.
Exactly. I don't know. I just want to point out, everybody, that maybe there could be a little bit of a warning sticker, like a pack of cigarettes on that. I'm not sure. David, any update on Canada marches V4F?
You know what? I actually just texted James Top's team to see if they can get back on next week. So I'll see if James is going to come back. I'm not covering Canadian stuff. I'm actually going to cover it with a little less filter now that I don't have to, at the very least, in some sense, worry about the government seizing my bank accounts if I say something the government doesn't like. No, so I'm going to be covering all of it. Tamara Lich, Pat King released. We'll see when they go after Pat King for alleged non-com and try to get him back in jail. I'm not covering the Canadian stuff. I'm going to be covering it harder and faster with less.
Harder and faster. Speaking of which,
quick question: Have you guys gotten, like, I got a notification from YouTube yesterday? Was it yesterday or this morning? Well, I think I saw it this morning, but I got it yesterday. They've like gone back to like old videos, like year and a half ago, and started marking them like above 18 and demonetized like a whole bunch of stuff. And now are not even letting me do a merch shelf, threatening to demonetize the whole channel.
What?
If I don't delete some of these videos? So I'm like, what? So yeah, it's like I went on to see, and I got like all these videos from like 3 years ago, just
but by the way,
all of a sudden.
What did I just tell you about the Reddit hit piece?
Yeah.
Now let me just throw out a concept, and I'm not going to say it's definitively true, but wouldn't it be convenient if you, let's say, get an army of little activated people to go through entire channels and start to just flag any video they could find in any way that could be personally offensive to them? Just pointing that out.
Yeah,
and
because but whatever's happening, because I've noticed, like, now none of my lives get, but obviously we all have the yellow thing, but it's just like everything now, because I'm assuming what people are doing, what's happening is that when you put a video out, they're just mass flagging it, so then YouTube makes it yellow, and then you got to do the whole thing. So that was happening to me like every single time. But then YouTube started catching on to it. And like maybe 5 minutes later, it would go green again. So it would be massive.
So now you can get people going through your channel and hitting specific targeted videos. Especially when you talk about cops. You've talked about cops before and different things. So these people, and again, in that Reddit piece, is saying it's literally giving the guidelines and stuff. So if you look at it, it's like, here's some guidance on how to target these channels. And my saving grace is that I am considered even behind Spidey. I'm like, good. I'm at least the smallest. I'm like the poorest house in the richest neighborhood, which is probably good.
That is, I think, generally a pretty good place to be.
I don't think it's people going back and flagging old videos. I think they literally just tinker with the algorithm. They say this is the naughty word of the week, and it occasionally catches old videos. I haven't had that problem in a while. I think the last video I even had demonetized on my main channel was a while back. I think it's like a social credit system. My second channel, Viva Clips, it happens more often. It takes a longer time to get the videos remonetized after being demonetized, and you establish your social credit with YouTube, and it speeds up the process and makes you maybe a little more impervious to false flags or brigades.
YouTube's system is just like, all right, in the last 3 months, I had something like over 100 videos. 2, I was wrong on with monetization. And because of those 2, they don't trust me on any other. I'm like, I got a 98% correct rate. And because I missed 2 in 90 days, I can't be trusted. Like, really?
No, but it's the system. People don't appreciate this. It's so absurd. You get the warning. And it says, we've over the last, however, and they go back like 3 months sometimes. It says, you rated the following videos monetizable. We disagreed. And after manual review, we were right. So therefore, 100% of the videos that we disagreed with were demonetized. And therefore, your record is like basically 100% wrong. And they don't factor in the times when they flag a video and then remonetize it as part of the error process. It's self-serving, obviously, but
okay. Yeah. Hey, I want to answer this because I've got a lot of people here. I hear this all the time, and I know you do too. It's like, well, you guys are complaining about YouTube all the time. If you really don't care about it, you should be off of YouTube and on Rumble now. Okay, I'm on Rumble. It took me a year and a half to pick up $80. The entire time. Okay, a year and a half, over 5,000 people following on Rumble. Everything. A year and a half. Got $80. Congrats to me. And that's, by the way, it's multiple channels on Rumble. Wow. Alternate platform. Nate, you're trying out Rockfin, but you get very little.
Yes.
The bottom line is
$1.
All right.
It's a heebie-jeebies. I don't want to say it's a silly thing to say. It's short-sighted and superficial. First of all, you don't cut off your nose to spite your face. You don't do something which is going to economically prejudice you to the point where you might not be able to continue making videos, period. Second of all, you don't leave the biggest platform on earth out of spite because you're fighting stupid. You're not fighting smart. Stay there. Yeah. Amass the people. Bring them over to the other platforms. The people
I'm on Odyssey too, by the way. Same thing.
The people at Rumble, Odyssey,
no money.
Rumble. But even the people at Rumble and Odyssey would not want you leaving YouTube because that's the only way you're going to direct from the biggest pool into the smaller growing ones. So it's a silly
That's the first
strategy.
thing I tell you. I think people fail to. The way I always think about it is YouTube is like my boss, right? Essentially. And they have certain parameters. Now, everybody complains about their job. Everybody complains about their job. And you say, why don't you leave? Well, because it's my job, right? It's because of what I do. Now, don't get me wrong. I do understand that, people want us to take this more, I think, what is it? They want us to be more cavalier with it. But, and I tell people all the time, if you're making the type of money that we're making on YouTube, you would have a different perspective on whether we should just blow it all up tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot invested in this. There's a lot of time. These videos, you just don't put them up. There's research involved. There's editing. Look at the equipment that we have. And this thing, there's a cost to all this. So, we've built this up and we've put all this time, years, all these channels that we have.
Except for Rob.
Lord Lumber, he's just look up the but don't forget, Viva, how many years did you put into your channel? How many years?
Not to say that I'm the OG here.
He's got a decade.
My first video was November 2014. My first viral video. I've been uploading since May 2014. But people also,
Viva, I consider you part of like the first Law 2 graduating class.
It was me, not to say like it was me and Legal Eagle once upon a time. We're the only two lawyers. Then there was Alito Law, who people say, then it became Leto's Law. But this is the thing. I totally forgot my thought. No, people complain about bowing to the rules and using like My Sharona Cyrus instead of coronavirus. Yeah, people. That is an effective way of raising awareness. You're never going to reach the people who you're not going to reach by leaving them and never trying to reach them. And
let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. I mean, no, think about it, because using coded language sometimes can spread a message farther than the original statement. Like, let's go Brandon means something else that a lot of people won't say in Rob's church, as an example. So having the coded language, sometimes that makes it stick even further, because you're like, why is he saying my Sharona Kai or whatever? It's like, why is he doing that? And now people are paying attention. Then they're like, oh, that's crazy.
That's crazy. What? Oh, he can say my Sharona Cyrus. We can all know what he's talking about, but he can't say coronavirus. Or you could say, what was the amazing Lucas saying for the longest time?
Oh yeah.
He had code words. I mean, and it becomes an effective tool of critique.
Andrew had Fauci juice.
Fauci juice. I don't know how
Yeah,
bad
just Fauci juice.
Imagine getting injected with Fauci juice. So
they also called it the beer bug.
Everybody, even the people at the competitors, don't want us leaving YouTube, because that is the way to get market share from the biggest platform out. You gain nothing by screaming alone in an empty room.
Yeah, I
agree. Speaking of Rob, because he was kind enough to share this. I guess it's actually not just you, Rob, but
Joe showed me this yesterday. It gave him great amusement, and he was saying in the chat, "Pull this up," and I was like, "Oh God, Joe."
All right. Well, I risk my channel at your guidance.
Whose music is this? I'm gonna run.
What is that? What is that? 9% ABV on that? Real.
All right, we're not doing this. Okay, so this is bourbon. This is bourbon. Let's do this shit. We'll do this.
Tell me how many shots I need to catch up to you. Are you too drunk to open it with your hands? What kind of degenerate are you?
I'll be right back.
Where the fuck did he go? Joe, what are you doing?
This is great.
I'm behind you. I am right behind you.
Bell's already been heard. You ain't getting him back. Rated R.
Well, that escalated quickly.
What?
Okay, so you know what? Now we know why you were confused about the head on the dollar bill on the thumbnail. There's proof. He has replaced Nick.
Who made that video?
No.
I have no idea.
But it was just like Joe showed me that. I was like, who makes this stuff? But it's hilarious.
Oh, that's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, so anyways, that's the answer for why people you'd have to be strategically and you know, you just have it's stupid to just say leave YouTube. Who owns YouTube?
I love that
Alphabet.
Viva was able to fit that into the prior. Just 'cause that's
I'm
exactly
still
why we need
angry.
to stay on YouTube.
He will not be knocked off track. He's like, boom, right back to it.
And did the real Hydro PX call me a conformist at that?
Everyone knows you're a lemming, Viva.
No, like that's. I mean, I've been called a lot of things in life. Okay.
No,
yeah,
but I do understand. People want us to be rogue. Forget about this. Blow up the channels. Let's go for the Civil War. But it's just that's not reality. People.
You know what would be
That's
the best thing? We should all just do our channels on the corner of the street and not use any of these correct platforms. Just.
Well, it'd be like me boycotting the interstate because I don't like the government. I'd be kind of cutting off the nose to spite my face, right? It's like, oh well, I'm going to take just surface roads from now on. And there we go. Good job, Eric. I'll just be later.
It would be like me boycotting Russian vodka because of the war in Ukraine, where I like Russian vodka or vodka at large, and that's all that's left. I'm gonna go celibate, teach them a lesson. Celibate,
celibate or incel?
Not celibate.
Celibate, teach them a lesson.
Hey, David. Anybody know the reopened investigation of Hockey Canada, my parliament, related to let's say cover up?
Dude, I don't know what that means, but hold on, screen grab.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Right. I'm not sure.
No, I have no idea.
Let me see. Oh, here we go. It's a new activism. Yes. This has been going on for a while now. The whole cancellation principle, asking people to leave bad reviews on the judge. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
It's like the whole Yelp wars that people do. I mean, some really, really ugly stuff. You are completely right.
However, I will say, devil's advocate here that we did see some on the opposite side too.
Oh,
we
yeah.
did
Oh,
see
yeah,
Amber
definitely.
Heard's law firms getting review bombed, and then all of the experts getting review bombed
Agree.
and all that kind of stuff too.
Nobody
So
should
it's
do it.
just,
Nobody
yeah,
should do that.
yeah,
Release a
agreed,
statement, release a video, get
Yes.
critical as hell, skewer any which way you can, but don't
Yeah.
pull BS stunts that attack the bottom line on people. They have a right
But
to. Young Turks has a right to be a channel, even though it's despicable and annoying, and I can't stand it. Don't go attacking them. Attack them directly. Make a video, criticize them, mock them, leave bad comments on their videos that you disagree with. But don't go to their sponsors and crap like that. That's horrible. It's evil.
But I will say this though, we gotta admit though, the one time, remember the Tasha K Cardi B case, where Tasha K went and review bombed her own attorneys during the case? That was classic.
That was fun.
She went and review bombed her own attorneys while they were defending her.
Review bombing is not wrong when you're the customer or the client and you've had an experience.
But that's leaving a bad review. Review bombing, though, is to
yeah.
activate everybody around you to do that, and they have not had a personal experience. So that's
it's fraudulent. That's true. That's true.
After my coverage of the Ottawa protest, the truckers' protest in Ottawa, someone left a negative review on Frei Legal, and I was like, I know who the person is. It's so stupid. But the thing is this, I think people now also appreciate that those reviews, they mean nothing, but it's going after employers, going after sponsors, going after people's livelihoods. That's objectively wrong.
I'm going to disagree when you say people know it means nothing. No, we know it means nothing because we live in this space. But when you go to anybody else, who literally has their job and they're just working, they go home and they go, oh, I'm going to go hire a lawyer. Oh my God, this lawyer's got terrible reviews, or this person's got terrible reviews. They aren't educated to the whole war that's going on. And they're the ones who are going to be affected. I think that we get caught up in have a little bit of the curse of knowledge. Like, we know all this stuff, so we assume that everybody else knows it. That doesn't mean they do.
And also, in fairness, for businesses that rely on Google search results, I think if they do get negative reviews, it affects their visibility and other stuff. So
yeah.
I've had I had a bad meal experience. I still didn't leave a negative review.
Yeah, that's a hard one. You know what? I wouldn't leave a negative review on a meal experience. Where I would leave a negative review is if I point out that I have a problem with the meal, and the restaurateur told me to pound sand, or made some disparaging comment, or didn't try to make it right, then I'll be like, okay, they don't care. It's bad service. Now I'm going to leave a review because I give a chance for them to correct it.
I'm going to field this question. Why are there so many jokes about lawyers? Because lawyers are more often than not absolute a-holes. The jokes are true, or the jokes are funny because there's a lot of truth in them.
I will say though, I don't know. I would say that most of the attorneys that I've come in contact with, professionally and not professionally, have generally been decent people.
Are you, Alita? Was it in corporate or commercial litigation?
It was in civil litigation. In California, though, so there's a little bit of a different vibe in California than there is on the East Coast and other places.
I would say in my experience, it's 50-50 whether or not you would, ever want to see them outside of the courtroom. And some of them are atrocious. Oh boy.
By the way, on my locals at unstructured.locals.com, I believe somebody put in the request on what is everyone's favorite lawyer joke?
I'm going to get mine in a second.
I have to check my inbox. My uncle sends me emails all the time with lawyer jokes.
Okay, well, throughout the show, let's pepper, because I'm like, that's a fair request. I can get the lawyer jokes from the lawyers.
I don't want to screw this one up, and I might have to wait until Earmuffs is out of the room. Let me pull up the joke.
Oh, the creator of that video, Grimm's Bar, is here.
Oh, Grim.
Thank you. I didn't realize it. I just was like, oh, somebody sent me a link and I played it. Please don't copyright strike me at Grimm's Bar.
Maybe invite him on. So give him a good shout out and invite him on so people go and then he doesn't hate you for it.
No, you follow me on Twitter, Grimm's Bar.
Copyright thing's a bomb too.
Grimm's Bar. Follow me on Twitter or whatever, or send me a link on Twitter to your channel, and I'll make sure I put it in the description because that is awesome work.
Yeah, that was very good. Well, listen, guys, I got 2 kids I got to go take to lunch and to the park. So It's been an hour. My billable rate is submitted to Eric, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. It's always wonderful talking to you guys, and let my white nationalist, homophobic,
incel
behind get up out of here.
Well,
Leftist, alt-right, red
the incel
pill.
misogynist has to go spend the day with his wife and kids. Go, Nate.
One of the crazy things is that I was looking at it yesterday, right? Because people were like, are people really saying this stuff? So I pulled up like during the Chauvin trial in Ahmaud Arbery. Nate's a leftist BLM activist. He's giving, blah, 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 leftist. So I'm like, oh, look. And I said, here, look at this now from the Johnny Depp trial. Nate's a right-wing nationalist, blah, blah, blah. Even a white supremacist.
And then the Rittenhouse trial?
Then the Rittenhouse trial, I became that's when I got my white nationalist cred. So, but
you need to make a short video on that, Nate, as a little advertisement about Nate, with all the reviews coming in saying Nate, the lawyer, so well reviewed. And then all the pull quotes.
The funny thing about it, though, most of us have had, especially on some of those cases, have had the same opinion. Like about Chauvin, Rittenhouse, and all these other cases, even though we've all had kind of the same opinions on it. But I think what happens is that is people they want you to put you in a box, and when you show that you're not in a box, easier to call you a name than to try to understand why you're saying what you're saying. And I think that's what's kind of happening right now. But it is what it is. Hey, it's clicks and views, but it's a shame that people can't just accept you for who you are. They want you to be someone who you're not for them. And I think that's the struggle. That struggle that we all have to go through. All right, good people.
By the way, before you go, Nate,
later,
let everybody know Nate and Eric is a channel. You can check it on YouTube, literally called Nate and Eric. We spend a lot of time coming up with the name, but we finally settled on that after we sent it to committee, did giant polls, and Nate and Eric is the name. Everybody check it out. We're recording new material, I think tomorrow. And over the weekend, and we have another video coming out. So everybody consider checking that out if you like more Nate.
Nice.
I think
my baby wants food, so she's made her appearance. She's like, give me food. I will see you guys a little later. So let me take care of these kids before somebody calls CPS on me or something like that.
Nate,
Nate.
I haven't found the exact joke I'm looking for, but a good one is, what's the difference between a lawyer and a prostitute? A prostitute will stop screwing you when you're dead. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's one.
But the one I'm thinking of is along the same line. Someone in the chat might get it. It's a lawyer who the punchline of the story is that this lawyer goes to a brothel and asks for the finest prostitute and pays her like $500 after each visit. And then the punchline is that he was there from the estate and she was bequeathed $50,000. And then that's how he got it to her. I forget. I see. That's why I shouldn't have ruined the punchline.
Okay, I have a couple jokes sent from my uncle, who loves to send lawyer jokes. So here's one. Lawyer's creed: a man is innocent until proven broke.
Oh, perfect.
How many lawyers does it take to screw in a light bulb? How many can you afford?
Oh no, the one I know is 3. 2 to climb the ladder, 1 to shake it. No, 1 to climb the ladder, 1 to shake it, 1 to sue the ladder company.
Oh, that's a good one.
Viva ruined the good joke. I ruined the good joke. If anybody knows exactly how it's the joke doesn't go where you think it's going.
Okay.
Nice.
Wow, everybody gets quiet. I mean, well, okay,
I'm looking to see if there's an update, if there's a conviction yet, because it is lunch. The jury might want to go home for a late lunch, so you
got to give them time to fill out the form. I'm sure that's about all the time it'll take. It'd be like, okay, form filled out. Yeah.
Okay, so no, there's no. It's John Hoggy right now is just tweeting summary of the closing arguments, so nothing yet.
All right, let me see. And
yeah, I thought it. Yeah.
Oh, somebody pointed out that a lot of the review bombs started out once Yelp and the new ASG ratings came out.
What's ESG?
I'm not sure on that one, but I agree. As soon as the advertisers go, cancel, like Nate did a bit on Morgan Freeman talking about that. I didn't know in 2018 he had a quote Me Too moment and lost a contract. Yeah, but here's the fun part of it. Imagine this: a journalist, yes, square quotes because it is CNN, stated that he had made women uncomfortable. I'm trying to think of the best term. And then pointed out that there were 2 women who were going to come forward and say that. One of the women who came forward said, no, that never happened. We're good friends. I like him. And we play together every time we get together. And then the other one was the actual journalist themselves. And she pointed out a clip of video that didn't mean anything. So then CNN, Time Warner, did an internal investigation with HR. Both came up with the fact that there weren't any facts to go forward. So they did nothing. Morgan Freeman asked for them to apologize and take it back, but no, CNN refused to, and they left the story up. Why? Because Morgan Freeman, when it first came out, said, I made anybody uncomfortable. I apologize. I don't know. And they said, because he apologized, that therefore makes the story true. So good times for all.
Hey, bring up the Law Patrol super chat, because this isn't a joke, by the way. It's an actual strategy.
Which one?
It's a $10 super chat in the yellow, relatively recent.
Oh, okay. I just got it.
What's the difference between a good lawyer and a bad lawyer? A bad lawyer can let a case drag out for several years. A good lawyer can make it last even longer. I remember one of the more black pill moments of my legal career. I was having lunch with a lawyer, opposing counsel, and the guy made the joke, settle the case, but not too soon. Like you don't settle it before you can actually get some billable time into it. And it was so cynical. It was the beginning of my growing cynicism. Yep.
Okay. Somebody else has mistaken Rob for Nick before. And that's really an insult to Rob's nose, but
Nick's nose is not that big. I don't understand what
because it's a
really
joke.
Not.
It's fun. It's fun. Rob and Joe are known as the rat
Beaverwood. So he calls all of his subscribers, I guess, the beavers or whatever. I don't want to go down that path. That's Joe. That's Joe's territory.
Wow. Here's another good one, David.
These are not jokes. These are maxims of law.
Well, but have you ever heard the
great
term?
Lawyer knows the judge. Yeah.
Have you ever heard the term kidding on the square?
No, but I suspect it's a variation of truth in jest.
Essentially, yeah. Or it's usually directed at somebody like. It'd be like, if I tell you something and I'm laughing, and then another minute it'd be kind of like, yeah, no, really, you need to get your shit straight, whatever. But that's that whole kidding on the square, and I think a lot of these are that. Here we go. ESG is environmental,
social, and governance. It's the term they're using for governmental, economic, social credit. Someone actually mentioned this on my channel a while back. But there was another one. It's a good lawyer knows, a good lawyer knows the judge. A better lawyer knows what the judge has for lunch, type thing. But it's totally you practice the law, and then you see when you're in court and you see a chummy relationship between opposing counsel and the judge, just by virtue of vintage, it doesn't necessarily affect the outcome, but it doesn't make you think it doesn't.
Well, I mean, it's funny because I was discussing this with Akira the Dawn one time, and I think people get confused. But when you're talking about moving a decision or philosophy or whatever it is, 60% are irrelevant. And I know that sounds crazy, but 60% of the people are already solid in somebody's birthday. Happy birthday.
It's a kid's birthday.
Whose birthday?
It's his birthday. I got to leave in a few seconds because.
Okay. Well,
you were gently reminded by your co-counsel.
And he's come in with they're like, you better remember, Dad. Don't make me come. Okay. Okay. 2 minutes.
All right. Well, anyway, 60% are frozen, and a lot of people think of it 60, but it's actually 30 on one side and 30 on the other side. They're never going to move. They're completely locked in. So then everything, all decisions are literally working within that last 40%. And then all you have to do is shave like 1 or 2% to actually win something or another. So, while everything you're talking about might be a little minor nudge, that nudge is the difference between winning and a loss or a win. Nick is in Florida.
Oh my goodness! You know what? I know that. Okay. Maybe.
Oh yeah. He's subtle.
I'm gonna casually walk. I'm gonna duck out, people, because this will escalate.
Birthdays are important.
I know. No, we're gonna head to the beach. Alita, Rob, it's nice to see you again. Eric, as
Great
always.
to see you too, David.
Chat.
You too.
Enjoy the day. See you soon.
All right.
Yay.
Happy birthday. All right. And then there were 3. Oh my.
I have another joke if you want it. This one's a little
Yes,
bit longer.
please.
Okay. 2 women are on a transcontinental balloon voyage. Their craft is engulfed in fog, their compass gone awry. Afraid of landing in the ocean, they drift for days. Suddenly, the clouds part to show a sunlit meadow below. As they descend, they see a man walking his dog. One of the flyers yells to the figure far below, "Where are we?" The man yells back, "About a half mile from town." Once again, the balloonists are engulfed in the mist. One flyer says to the other, "He must have been a lawyer." The other said, "A lawyer? How do you know that?" The first says, "That's easy. The information he gave us was accurate, concise, and entirely irrelevant."
Ouch. Ouch. God, I remember, what was it? Barnes. Apparently Barnes's fiance that he had a while ago was a major adventurer type, and like in shark cages and mountain climbing, skydiving, all these things, which and Barnes is like, he's not into any of that.
He is
But-
the type to sit in a chair with a cigar and a glass of whiskey.
Yes, and
relax, it seems.
he's got that big brain that he's just feeding with
Yeah.
material all the time. I mean, carrying that big brain around, I mean, that's work. But I thought about it, and he told me all, and I'm like, well, of course, your girlfriend likes to swim with sharks, and you're a lawyer, so I guess that's why you're together.
Makes perfect sense. Match made in heaven, or was it? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe.
I don't know how the story ends.
Oh my God. I'm a family law
Family law.
paralegal. We had a divorce go on for 9 years, and 5 of those were from opposing counsel churn. Okay, churning, that's flipping, like one lawyer quits, another has to come on board, and then they take months to get
Yeah. So
up to speed.
Yep. I've had cases like that, not in 9 years, but I've had cases that have gone on for 3. 3 is probably the longest one I had.
Holy God.
I would like to see the statistics actually on like the average length of divorce cases. Like how long? Like what is the? I mean, you've got like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie that's been going on since 2016, or you've got people that hopefully resolve it in like, I don't know, like 2 months. Who knows? But like I would be curious about the average length though.
I mean, they say that you gain a family law client, you gain that client for the length of for as long as the kids are kids, and that's kind of true because if there's custody involved, these two come back to court. They come back to court when they don't resolve things. I mean, these guys weren't the husband and wife or whatever it was. They weren't compatible enough to stay together as husband and wife or as a married couple. They couldn't even agree on that. And then they're divorced, and then they have kids involved. What makes you think that they're going to be able to agree on how to raise the kids, and that's not going to create ongoing issues until that kid is no longer a kid?
But how in the world? Okay, I'm confused though. It's like, so you're saying that you just delay it. So how do you deal with things until the divorce happens?
No. So what I will see, and when you say that the divorce goes on forever, it's not the divorce itself. And actually, Virginia has a weird way of doing it. We actually can bifurcate a case, and we can grant the divorce like in month 1, and then continue litigating the outstanding issues of the finances, the custody disputes.
Oh, like a settlement type of
over a period of time. Yeah. And then they come back to court. The case gets reopened often to resolve a dispute that has arisen after the fact. There's been a change in circumstance. You need to revisit custody.
Wow.
Oh, Boss Attorney Bree, how are you doing?
Hey, Bree.
In California, they encourage divorce cases to get done in 5 years by dismissing it after 5 years.
Well, that's good.
That's clever.
That's good. That's good. I my one experience that I had with like family law proper was where I was on a trust litigation case that also had an accompanying divorce, and it was a nightmare because even just it's funny because it's cases like that where your regular meetings like within the firm meetings about the case that you're like, okay, what is the minimum that we can do to maintain this while we're just kind of like waiting on them to fight things out and like, but still do our, fulfill our professional responsibilities to be on top of it as we need to, but also not charge them $5 million just for sitting in a holding pattern. Those are just crazy.
Boss Attorney Bree, I'll send you a link if you want to come on. Oh, if I can find it. I suck at Twitter, folks.
It's okay. I'm just learning it. Like, I have had a Twitter account now for 3 months.
Well, yeah, you're the one who's showing the way on, here's how you create an account. Here's how you blow up. And everybody's just going, what?
Yep. Here's how you pick fights with people. Here's how you get blocked in your first month of ever being on a Twitter account.
Oh, I mean, all you have to do is be, I know I'm blocked. There's a place you can find out. I'm blocked by a few hundred accounts. I've never blocked anyone, but I know like
Same.
David and I follow each other. David's on a bunch of block lists. Nate's on a bunch of block lists.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like just being friends with certain people or following each other, all of a sudden you're blocked by people you don't even know.
Oh, I know. Like someone was trying to forward me the tweet from like Michelle Dauber, and I've never engaged with this woman ever. Someone forwarded me a tweet from her, and I'm like, I can't see the tweet.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. Yeah. Her and there's a bunch of Amber Heard supporters that I like. I'll see because somebody else has retweeted it, and I'm like, who in the heck is this? And then I try to go and I come to find out, oh, this person blocked me. Like, oh, all right. I have no idea who this person is, but okay.
By the way, I have a question about that. What about this new routine? And I don't know if it's new, but this whole thing, Eve Barlow does it, others do it. It's like, we're going to just go mouth off at everybody. Oh, Taylor Lorenz, but then the comments are turned off. No, so nobody can reply. We could just spout off every bit of garbage, and everybody has to either quote tweet it, but they can't handle a comment back.
It's just so they can't get ratioed. That's why I think.
And the funny thing is,
but that's just like, it's funny because it's like, if you're like, what? I don't know who really cares. Does that have a tangible impact on like anything? I mean, other than like your ego, I guess. I don't know.
Let me see. Taylor Lorenz, let's talk. Do you think it has an impact on ego there? Do you think there may be an ego issue?
Of course, possibly. There's an ego issue.
Oh my gosh, you're talking about.
I'm just saying, is there a tangible issue? Exactly.
So, of course, Rob, I know she has hers, set up to where you can't reply because, she'd be a victim, right?
She's always the victim. She's the victim of everything. The sun didn't come out today. She is the victim of that atrocity.
You know what? She was probably a victim of being born. Like, she didn't choose her parents, and therefore she was victimized from birth.
Yeah. She would say something stupid like that.
Oh God. Okay, so back to Manson or something else. What cases or what is going on? Because I feel like everybody's flailing on what to cover. I covered a case that literally just went to the Supreme Court on the 20th. Again, the documents got submitted again. I don't know if you guys saw it. It's about Tommy Morrison. Okay, Tommy Morrison is a boxer. He was in Rocky V, the movie, as Sylvester Stallone's protege, the blonde kid, who went in and then they fought in the alley and all that. That was Tommy Morrison. He was a star of that movie. He went on to beat George Foreman to become the worldwide, heavyweight champion. And then he lost another fight, but he was signed a contract with Don King, and he was scheduled to fight Mike Tyson in 3 fights. And this is in 1996. In 96, he tested positive for HIV and was suspended from boxing around the world. His life fell apart, drugs went, standard fare. And then sadly, he died in 2013. There's only one little problem with this entire narrative. He never had HIV and he never had AIDS. And I just did on my channel, Eric Hunley, and I really wish people would check it out to get the word out, because his widow has been fighting this case, I think, since 2014 against Don King and the Nevada Commission, etc. And the chicanery involved is incredible. Now, keep this in mind, and you guys can confirm this. She has represented herself all the way through the Nevada courts, the Ninth Circuit court, got there, got it kicked out, got it resubmitted all the way to the Supreme Court twice. Now, how difficult is that for a normal citizen to represent themselves all the way up?
Impossible.
She's
Basically.
done it.
I mean, the numbers are so small, they're unquantifiable.
So I find her to be such an impressive person. I mean, she's put all this out, and also, you know, learning about, you know, when he died and how it happened. I mean, this woman would take him from state to state, like trying to run whatever insurance coverage or anything else to state to get treatment for like a brain injury, for this, that. I mean, for a year and a half. He ultimately survived for 20 months in septic shock and died of that. And of course, everybody said it was actually AIDS. So it really is an incredible story. And I'm just hoping that her case gets actually seen by the Supreme Court, because she had to get it all the way back up there again. What she's fighting over right now is she's piggybacking on a death row inmate who, ironically, they found DNA from 1996, and you know, they're trying to say it's too late or whatever. And he's fighting from death row to get that DNA tested and admitted into court. She is using the same case, or trying to say, hey, a sample of Tommy Morrison's was saved in 2013 when he died, and it's newly discovered evidence. Why can we not test that yet again to prove that there's no HIV, no AIDS? And she's been, you know, at war with the courts trying to get this in, and that's the case going up to the Supreme Court.
Interesting.
It's wild.
Wait, what? JD filed an appeal?
Oh, really?
Oh, I wonder if it's on that 2 million.
Interesting.
Yeah, catch up. I don't know what's on there.
Let's see. Let's check Twitter.
Yeah, and who's Laura B? I'm not familiar.
Real Laura B.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yep. 14 minutes ago, she posted update: Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard appeal. It appears that Johnny has also filed notice of appeal. He is now being listed as the appellant. Okay.
Oh, so he went and preserved. Now, what's funny about that, people had this discussion. People were asking me about this, whether he needed to. He doesn't need to. He didn't need to. Now, it might have been the bond issue as to why he did it. But when an appeal is taken against you, there's a little window of time that you have.
Oh, I cannot hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep. When someone files an appeal, there's a window of time when you're doing a designation and the assignments of error that you have the right as the appellee to designate additional assignments. You can list additional things the court got wrong. So I don't know that he had to do that, to be honest. People keep asking me, are they required to post a bond? Are they not required to post a bond? Here's the thing. They posted the bond. I'm telling you, they're going to post the bond. They're not going to play games with, are they required to do something or not do something? Just like Johnny Depp filing this cross appeal. I don't know that he needed to do that, but might as well preserve the issues. Better play safe than sorry.
Okay, that makes sense. So what is he actually appealing? Just any mistakes that were made on the other side?
An appeal itself, you don't have to note the assignments of error yet. You wait till the record gets transmitted to the Court of Appeals, and then you get to identify the issues that you believe the Court of Appeals needs to take a look at. But basically, if there was something that was wrong during the trial at any stage, whether it's the verdict, whether it's a ruling on evidence, whether it's something, that can be an issue that you raise to the Court of Appeals. There's the shotgun approach, which basically says you list absolutely everything you think the court got wrong. Very stupid to do, because you just basically muddy the waters. But the more appropriate approach is to kind of take the precision approach, where you take your first and second or third best issues. For Depp, it's going to be the agency issue, whether he could be held accountable for statements made by an attorney through this agency relationship.
Yeah, I would imagine the litigation privilege is part of that whole issue, because I remember just trying to wrap my brain around that. I was like, wait, what? Because in California it seems to be much more broad. So the fact that they were made in to the press, but it's made by his attorney, and they were the same exact arguments that were made in a courtroom, and he was talking about the litigation. It was in the context of talking about the litigation. So it was very, anyway, I would imagine so.
Someone asked me, like, so does this mean that we're going to get the, like, because I was trying to lay out a timeline of the appeal and how you're not going to see those issues that they're talking about until mid-September. You're not going to see those issues, even the issues they want to appeal on. You're not going to see those until like mid-September. Someone asked me on Twitter, like, does this mean that we're going to get a result or a hearing by Christmas? And I was like, Christmas of 2023, maybe.
Jesus. So this is just going to go on and on and on forever.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it probably needs to. I don't think she can pay.
I don't think she can either.
Wow. Who's that?
I don't know. Not me.
Somebody's
The-
got
Oh,
a
that
train.
might be me. They're cutting some grass out.
Okay. I was like, wow. That sounds like a train. Okay.
So this is gonna keep going. I fully anticipate that this is gonna unfortunately drag on for a very long time, even though Amber Heard apparently wants to just move on with her life, of course, as we all very, very well know.
So Bree, are you what cases are you covering or looking at right now? I'm trying to figure out what the future is, if it's Manson, if it's something else.
Yeah, so right now I've just kind of been covering stories that popped up yesterday. We covered the trademark lawsuit between the Crumble Cookie, so that was a fun one. My audience
What is
really Crumble Cookie is basically a cookie shop where they kind of switch out their cookies on a weekly basis, and they're suing like a smaller cookie shop for basically trade dress infringement. And I think they've also sued another cookie shop that does similar things as well. So it's more on the trademark, trade dress, and unfair competition. That's not going to be like a huge case or anything like that, but it was fun to cover. My audience very much so enjoyed it. I've covered Manson a little bit. Of course, Amber Heard keeps going on and on. And I think that the Travis Scott Astroworld is about to go to trial. So I'm planning on covering that as well.
Did you see the document dump on, or I'm not going to say a dump, but anyway, all the statements that were released by the Manson team yesterday? Colonel Kurtz just in the guest chat, there's a link to all the documents in there if you wanted to cover it. It's got his statement, other statements. It's a treasure trove. I haven't even had time to go through it, but there's a lot in there. Colonel Kurtz, of course, all over it. Manson cases is on it. Marilyn Manson uncanceled. Stand by your Manson. I'm learning that there's all these Instagram accounts, and it's like, oh my god! And of course,
Instagram and Twitter. Yeah.
I can't use Instagram to save my life. I just suck so badly at it. And then they always put up documents on the screen. I'm like, I can't zoom into this document. Why am I'm in hell? So it's killing
no,
me.
they're great. They're very nice people from my interactions with them. And very, very collaborative, very, very just cool people. I've really enjoyed starting to talk to a bunch of them. So it's gonna be an interesting road, but I do foresee that one getting a bit more, I don't know, tricky, because it's like I feel like their PR team has learned from Amber Heard's PR team, and that's why like Evan Rachel Wood was trending yesterday, I think, right? Because she had like several days ago, she started like posting on Instagram about how she's like, people are saying that I support Amber Heard, but I never said I supported her. All I said was no comment all the way back in 2016. See, no comment. You can see my hands, like hands are here, like they're not in my pockets. And so people are saying like, yeah, but if you say at this point after the trial that like you're not taking a side, but like everybody's seeing the evidence and you're not taking a side after that, like by saying no comment, I don't know, aren't you kind of commenting? So it's interesting. But so I don't blame her for wanting to just not say anything, because especially if you have a pending case, you also know that there's a court of law and a court of public opinion that impact your case either way. And I would understand I would understand, her having a lot of anxiety around that, because it's inevitable that people are going to be comparing the two cases somewhat. Partly because Marilyn Manson kept getting brought up as the boogeyman in the Depp trial for God knows what reason. Why? I mean, if there's one question that I would like to ask Elaine Bredehoft, it would be that, what was with the Marilyn Manson thing? Why? Why?
You know the thing is, you know the answer to that question. You know the answer to the question. It raises a very impermissible thing that we're not supposed to be doing, but you know why she did it. Because Manson equals boogeyman. Manson is scary. And if
also, Manson's a drug user. Noted drug user, and he used drugs with Johnny Depp, and they were hammering so hard on drugs. And Andrew Esquire pointed this out. I did not put it together, but Rob, you can confirm it. Andrew was talking about in the Asian culture, drugs are extremely verboten and they're not light. And Andrew was pointing out that they could have been trying to angle at a couple of jurors who were of Asian descent, thinking if we hammer drugs, that it may
no.
If they did, that's acting with very broad brushstrokes, and that's a very bad move, I think.
Well, she made a lot of bad moves, and come on, did they not harp on drugs? I mean, I just took it as he was a irresponsible drug user who hung out with the likes of Marilyn Manson. Of course, he hit her. I mean, that's really what I thought. It was just spreading an image.
The funny thing with with an older jury, that might have sold a little bit better, but that jury was too young. Like you want to bring that out and say drugs equals abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Look, barking up the wrong tree, depending on the age of the juror and depending on the where they live and what county and jurisdiction, what their backgrounds are. I just that never sold for any of them.
Somebody is talking about watching your Bryant read through.
Ah, yes, Vanessa Bryant versus the LA County Sheriff's Department.
And she doesn't know how a smartphone works?
No. So that one, that's the one where they were taking unauthorized photos of I don't know if unauthorized is exactly correct, exactly accurate, but they were taking photos of the remains of Kobe and Gianna Bryant, and then sharing them within the department. And then a couple of them shared them outside the department. And then had comments about like, hey, this is who this is, like having like very, very humorous like attitude about it. And it's just, I mean, on the one hand, I do understand Gallows humor. I do understand that sometimes when you are dealing with death in a way that is not in the way that most of us deal with,
right?
Like I said this on my live stream, we ritualize and we have traditions around death for a very particular reason, and it's so that we can handle it when we encounter it, right? And this, I came to realize this in such a strong way when I toured the LA County Coroner's facility and went through their morgue and saw where they have the adults and the babies and the celebrities, and then saw an actual like what's it called, the procedure going on, doing an autopsy going on, and I was just like, it was awful. And, meanwhile, I had grown up going to a lot of funerals, being part of a small ethnic community. And so I was, because like parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles of like your friends or your parents' friends, like it's just everybody ends up going. So I figured like I would be cool with going to this thing. And it just like completely like blew my mind. But anyway, so gallows humor is one of those ways I think that people have to sometimes deal with those kinds of encounters when you don't have when all those traditions and rituals are stripped away. But that's precisely why there should be procedures in place for something like the police department and the fire department and these people to say like, look, like, if you have to deal with this in a particular way, we're going to give you some methods for dealing with this. Don't take photos of the remains because that's just damn disrespectful. And then also don't do that particularly for celebrities. There's also a reason why the LA County coroners have a specific cage for celebrities. It's not to give them preferential treatment. It's because they literally have had problems with the paparazzi coming in to try to get some images.
This goes back to Elvis. I mean, remember the Inquirer managed to get a picture of Elvis's body. This is why I can say the cops, because I really deeply appreciate gallows humor and why they have it, etc. But let's pretend it's your aunt. Let's pretend it's your wife. and somebody else just took that picture and released it, you would be livid. The whole force would be going at it, because that kind of thing has happened where it's like a picture. What if it's your partner and they're gunned down and it's a grisly photo and that's released and everybody's laughing about it and putting it on Instagram? You're going to be pissed. So it's just a matter of not even decorum, just civility. It's just disgusting.
Yeah. And in the chat too, someone's talking about they watched it too, how one of them, there's the worst part about it is that when they were doing an investigation, after enough pressure had come on the sheriff's department to actually do an investigation, they did one, and the guys that actually shared these photos, the guys that zoomed in on it to like show the bartender, that kind of stuff, they lied about it. The guy that zoomed in the bar and like showed like, hey, look at this little piece right here, literally was caught on surveillance footage doing that. So it's like, great. Now we have cops that not only are doing the wrong thing, the absolutely wrong thing, then they're lying about it on top of it. This is a huge PR problem for the LA County Sheriff's Department and the fire department. And it's I do understand, I guess, some of the legal arguments that they're trying to make. I don't think that they're going to win the PR side or the law side.
Yep. And here we go. 20-year investigator. Yeah. I mean, I totally get it. And I know that cops have a lot of times a very dark humor, and they talk, but that's internal. It should never be leaked out. I mean, ugh.
I mean, and even then, it's like the complaint details. I mean, and this is obviously assuming that everything in the complaint is correct. I don't know. I know what some of the reporting has been on some of the things that have come out of deposition, and in other declarations and whatnot. But according to the complaint, I mean, they really lay out how these images spread from one officer to another, and people that really didn't need to know. They didn't need to see these images because it was like the person down a mile that was directing traffic, and then someone was like, hey, do you want to see? Sure. And then they send it to them or airdrop it to them. Meanwhile, the LA Sheriff's Department also apparently had investigators that didn't understand how iPhones work. So like, they were like, what's airdrop? I don't know what that means.
I can believe that, actually. I can actually
like
believe
kind
that.
of compounding on one another, that you're just like, as you're reading it, it's like, oh, come on.
Good Lord.
So yeah.
All right. So is there any happy, crazy? Oh, Bree, that actually reminded me. This is an old one. Briars and Dryers. Do you guys remember that case?
I'm not too familiar with. I'm familiar with the ice cream, but I'm not familiar with the case.
Well, literally, Dryers ice cream was out and very popular, and all of a sudden, Briars came out and kind of replaced them in the market. I mean, Briars is big now. Dryers is kind of not seen that often. Well, Dryers did a copyright or trademark, whatever, an infringement lawsuit because the name, obviously sounds the same. Here's the craziest irony. Briars actually pre-existed Dryers, but it was a regional, like, in one state, and they came out several years before. And I just thought that was a fascinating little tidbit. So if you have a bigger brand that's well known suing the smaller brand, but the smaller brand is out first, I think the bigger brand's out of luck. Or you guys can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's because it's the first person to use it in the United States, you get the protection. So if Briars was first, then they get the protection. The only issue would be if they specifically only limited their ice cream to the small area that they were in, then they may be limited to just like a state trademark, while Dryers will have the federal trademark. But if they were intending to sell across state lines and things like that in commerce, interstate commerce, then they could also have the trademark. Now, they probably should have registered their trademark with the federal government so that Dryers didn't come along and copy them. But they would technically have the priority rights under the common law, just not federal, but they can still win in a federal lawsuit. It's just a little bit harder to prove.
Rob, you were about to say something.
Well, no, like if you guys want fun content, I'm putting stuff out, new happy stuff. Trials and Century is still going on. Although this week you might.
That's happy.
Most of it's happy.
Good.
We did the Scopes trial. That was fun. And then I filmed. I filmed Joe Neerman yesterday. I taught him how to make a lazy Susan with an epoxy pour. So I did a video for that. So I'm working on that video to put it out. So you'll see Joe Neerman.
Oh, that's fun.
Making some stuff in the shop.
How does that work on your channel? Do you run into the niching problem?
I'm too dumb to know. I'm happy here. Like, honestly, I'm happy here. I'm happy with what it is. And it is unique that I don't need the channel. I love the channel and I appreciate all the growth it gives me. And I love every part of it. And I have so much fun doing this stuff, but I have a job. I have a law firm. That's always been my source of revenue. So the channel is a way for me to express myself and bring people along on some fun, either a history adventure or let's build some stuff. And then, I'll give input on stuff that's more serious. I just feel like we've had a ton of serious. So I kind of want to do something a little bit light. Yeah.
You think, well, you do a lot of work with Scott Cardinal. And
we have so much fun doing that.
And you met him at the trial, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm one of the very few who's actually seen Scott Cardinal's face.
Whoa. What's up with Scott Cardinal's face? I know he's in the chat. So let's talk about Scott Cardinal. Why is Scott hiding? I'm sure he never understood why people put their face out there. And he always, when he's talking about a building, he wants the building to be the focus of the story. When he's talking about a case, he wants the case to be the focus and not his face. He's honestly, he wants the words. He wants people to pay attention to the words and not look at the person who's saying them. Here's the irony. Scott, look into the Streisand effect.
True.
Because I could push back a little and say that, who is this guy? Who's this guy? So I'm wondering who this guy is, and I'm worried about who he is and everything else. But if I see his face, I'm like, oh, okay. And then I move on and look at the building because it's like, oh, he just looks like a guy. And then you move on.
I mean, it's also just, there's a bit of fun to it. You're right. There's a little bit of fun to it. And it adds to the illusion of the story. And that's the really cool thing about doing these Trials of the Century series is you have the lawyer and you've got the storyteller, and they're coming at this case in very different viewpoints. So it's like, I'll focus on a lot of the stuff that was crazy about the trial, and Scott's focused on the people and the story and the narrative there. So it's like, when we get to combine that, and then Ian jumps in with history and crazy additional legal interpretation, but he loves history too. So this week we're going to be on Ian's channel. We just bounce around and get to discuss these old trials with a different take.
All right, here we go. I'm speaking of that. Good question. What is the Streisand effect? For those of you who are really young, the Streisand effect is a hilarious case because this person, I don't know if he was a map maker or whatever, but it was an aerial photographer taking pictures of the skyline on like Google Maps or one of those services where people can just look along the panorama.
The cliffs of Malibu is what they were taking photos of.
Oh, okay. But it was just about the cliffs and everything. Well, Barbara Streisand got mad. She's like, hey, my house is in that picture. I want that taken down because you can't take a picture of my blah, 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 blah. And she raised this giant fuss about it. And nobody even knew that anything about her house. They didn't know where she lived other than, they lived there and they knew her. And nobody cared. Somebody's like, oh, let's go check it out. So the actual site that had the pictures had almost zero traffic, but after she started to cry about it, everybody went there, and thus we have the Streisand effect because she made a fuss. The fuss is what got people to even pay attention to it. Often it's best to ignore whatever it is, especially if it's small, because who's going to pay attention or know it anyway?
Yeah, that's the irony of it, right? Because it's like no one would have known anything about where she lived or anything about that being her property if she hadn't hired a lawyer and went like, bop, boop, beep, like send them a demand letter, like take it down off the internet. And then they fight back and then they start talking about it. And then everyone's like, ooh, what's this about? What's this about? And then it just grows and grows from there. It metastasizes, as Johnny Depp would say.
Awesome. And Georgina has become addicted to you guys both. And by the way, that's saying a lot because Georgina also watches me and Mark. And Mark Robert, my partner in America's Untold Stories, is a A-list top level storyteller. Amazing storyteller. I mean, he was the editor for National Lampoon, ran the Weekly World News, Bat Boy, all the anyway. that's saying a lot because you're in good company. I've got to check those out too because, like, you did Lindbergh.
We did Lindbergh, then we did Lizzie Borden, John Lennon. Which Lennon was less about the trial and more about just the story of that entire saga. Then we did H.H. Holmes, and then we just did the Scopes trial. This week on Ian's channel, we're doing. I made the comment about doing light stuff, but apparently it's cannibalism on the high seas.
Oh, that's light.
Yeah.
The only.
But you know what's
right?
You know what's funny about that one? I somehow think that Ian is going to find a way to inject something humorous. Scott's going to come with a story that's going to be like really terrifying, and then Ian's going to make everyone laugh about it. I just have a feeling that's what's going to happen.
How do you do your prep? Because I can tell you just from America's Untold Stories, it's a ton of work. Is this stuff that you guys already have been following for a long time, so you have material collector, you just know the story really well, or are you actually going and scrambling to put together your content for the week?
We've done pretty well at picking. For the first few, we picked cases we kind of knew, or that we didn't, or one of us knew. But now we're kind of in a zone where we're going into cases we don't know. The cool thing is the people that show up in the chat, and I talked to Scott and Ian about this. I think we've got the coolest chat in the world. Like it's awesome. The people that show up and watch those streams, they are so freaking positive and encouraging of everybody who's there. And they are sending me emails like, hey, I know this case. I've done research on this case. Do you want help researching? And I'm like, yeah, please give me info.
When you guys want to do the Twilight Zone movie trial, let me know because I have a video on it.
Vic Morrow? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I have a video on it.
By the way, Rob,
a couple years ago.
You guys may want to look into this. I don't know. Talk to me on the side, but you might want to set up a locals channel for that, just for people so they can discuss things, donate, whatever else.
That's a
on
good
the
idea.
side. And I'll put you in touch with them if you want. But I'd recommend it, especially for that, because it can give like a back channel way for researchers to get together and share the different content or whatever and support you guys.
Yeah, I love that idea. That's great.
So,
well, the other fun thing that Rob is not talking about is that he and I just participated on Rick Hoag's channel. We both learned how to do Dungeons and Dragons. We're calling it Lawyers and Dragons.
I don't think we're gonna say that we learned how to do it. We survived.
I feel like I learned a little bit of like what it was about and like what needs to happen. It took me like halfway through that I was like, okay. and then once I did, I was like, all right, I can get behind this. I can start using some acting skills here. So there might be more of that to come.
So you started a satanic panic in the LawTube community.
A satanic panic? What do you mean by that?
Oh God, I'm old. Okay, I just aged myself. You didn't know? You haven't heard about that D&D was tied into Satanism in the 80s. It was called the Satanic Panic. And literally, I mean, there was even movies about that, the kids who were playing Dungeons and Dragons, and then they got, I'm trying to think of the term, possessed by a demon. Well, because it's witchcraft. I mean, you're casting spells and you're using gambling implements like dice.
It's because they didn't have Marilyn Manson's music to blame yet.
Marilyn Manson continued the course. Oh my God. You know what? Maybe Rob, there you go. That's a great subject for you. Satanic Panic.
Oh yeah, sure.
And the McMartins, and because that's an important case, because the McMartins preschool was part of the Satanic Panic. This stuff really took hold. You've heard of backmasking, right? Mm-hmm. Where you play the records backwards and satanic messages. It's all tied in. D&D, backmasking, McMartin's preschool, Son of Sam, Untermeyer Park. There's so many crazy ties.
And I'm seeing in the chat that plays a role in the latest season of Stranger Things. Okay, yeah. Oh. I'm a little bit behind on Stranger Things, and I know it's set in the 80s, yada yada yada. So that's interesting, very interesting. Okay, I had no idea that was a thing.
Stranger Things is weird for me to watch because that was my childhood. My age
Really?
is
You fought demogorgons in your childhood? I need to hear this.
well in my brain. In my brain, yeah. But no, just the whole principle of it. Because think about what is charming about Stranger Things is these kids are doing what we used to do. Go ride a bicycle over to each other's houses, out in the country, whatever else. If you let kids of that age out now, the parents would be arrested for having free-range children.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
But they also would have, I mean, there's all kinds of liability around it. It's all the lawyer's fault.
Everything. Lawyers and accountants. So oh shoot,
Always.
I should have a poll. Who is more evil, lawyers or accountants?
Oh,
that's a good poll. Let me see if I can start that one. Oh, come on. Oh, I want to do that poll. So I'm going to ask you guys to start. Who is more evil? Oh, great. It just did an empty poll.
Yes or no?
Evil. Lawyer? Okay. Who is more evil? I want your
heard this question. I've never heard this question. I'm trying to figure out how an accountant can be evil. And I may be showing my age here. I haven't dealt with too many accountants.
Oh,
accountants.
Oh, come on. Weird poll, Eric. No, okay. How this is why. If you look at every messed up policy within a business, it is either a way to cut costs, and who's concerned about costs? Who are the bean counters? Who are the ones that are finding, okay, you could save X amount of dollars by changing this particular routine or thing that we do.
Okay, it'll be the accountant. Okay.
Or legal is saying,
or legal department is like, oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't say that. You can't market in that way. What are you talking? You nuts?
Okay, lawyers is winning though. You guys, good job.
I voted for lawyers.
That's only because you haven't put politicians in the poll.
Well, come on. I want to keep it even.
Would have easily won because they're all lawyers.
Okay, well we can spread the poll out further. If you put in, let's just throw 4 of them, and maybe I should do another poll. It would be accountants, lawyers, politicians, or journalists.
Ooh.
Are we talking journalists
or journalists?
I should probably do that one. That actually does get challenging, doesn't it? Oh. So we've got 61% for lawyers on just the 2. So I'm going to end this poll and create another poll. So who is more?
Well, lawyers won that one.
Yep.
Actually, with a bullet.
More evil. I don't know if that's a win.
Eric, I got to run. I have a depot prep that I've got to start.
No worries. Okay. I'm actually going to be wrapping up here momentarily. Actually, I'll just wrap it up. We don't need to do a poll on that.
No, don't.
No. I've got another show to prepare for too, dude. So don't worry about it. Everybody has things that are going on right now. Now, people can find you at Law and Lumber on YouTube and soon to be Locals. I'll talk to you about it. LegalBytes. You are also on Locals at legalbytes.locals.com.
Yes, and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and Patreon.
And are you just LegalBytes Media everywhere, or is it a
LegalBytes Media? Yeah, LegalBytes Media everywhere. I tried to streamline that one.
All right, Boss Attorney Bree, where can people find you?
I am on YouTube. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Mine is mostly Boss Attorney or Boss Attorney Bree.
Very cool.
Nice.
And everybody, you can catch me at unstructured.locals.com. I'm Hunley Eric everywhere because a couple people stole the Eric Hunley on a couple, and in order to be consistent, I just did the backward for whatever. I did the name in reverse. And love to see you. Love the support. A lot of you may know me from other channels and things like this. This is a separate channel. So please look and see if you are subscribed, because this is the channel where I put together all the crazy lawyers to talk trash about whatever So these panels exist solely on this particular channel, and hopefully you guys will consider subscribing and join the party.